Super Rugby AU and the Brumbies have got the expected win over the Force, 31 points to 14. Interesting game, and that the Force did that thing where they come out of the blocks firing, and they kind of did it twice. They did it in both halves. I guess over the course of the game, the Brumbies were deserved winners. Some of the stats of the game are pretty interesting. I'll go over those in a tick, but it means the Brumbies get a home final, so congratulations to them. They have been the top team in Australia for a reason. They went in with those expectations to be the top side, and they've met them. The Force were expected to finish bottom. They're going to finish bottom, but I'm kind of pleased with this game. This is a game where they didn't go out and get a hiding. There's been, at least on my channel here anyway, there's been a bit of negativity towards the Force, but this was the game where they put their hands up away to the top team and put them under periods of pressure for quite some time. They didn't get the job done, but there's no shame in losing by that scoreline in this game. The Brumbies, yeah, they were under the pump early. The Force really brought it to them, and when the Force won their first penalty, it was very kickable. I think I probably could have kicked it, maybe that's optimistic. But they opted not to go for the three. I guess the Force were in the mood of, we are not going to win this game in threes. They went for a line out, ended up knocking it on from the move there, and you're thinking, you should have taken the three. Brumbies can't exit though, and the Force get another penalty, and you're thinking, all right, this one's a slightly harder kick, but surely you learned your lesson. You're definitely going to take the three. They don't take the three. They want the try. And fortunately this time, it's like 8 minutes, they go 13 phases. And Lee Warner gets the try from about a metre out. And they kick the conversion. And it's 7 points to 0 to the Force. So, yeah, man, job well done to stick to your guns and actually go for the points. I was thinking you got to take the three. The commentators were saying you got to take the three. I was pretty convinced they should have been taking the three, but when it pays off with a 7, you can't complain. On 15 minutes, the Brumbies maybe showed a touch of taking the Force a bit lightly, especially in that first half of the first half. I felt like they weren't kicking for a lot of territory. They were trying to run everything back at the Force, expecting the Force's defense to just kind of roll over. But it wasn't doing it early on anyway. I think the stats were crazy at the start of that first half. It was like 85% possession in territory to the Force. But, Erez Simone tried to do like a little grubber kick for the 22 dropout and to regather. He ended up knocking it on and puts his side back under pressure. Richie Mo'unga did something similar here in Super Rugby Aotearoa for the Crusaders. It was eerily similar, but not quite executed as well. I can't help but wonder if he saw that and was trying to recreate it, but it didn't pay off. However, not that long later, from about 20-minute mark, I think the Brumbies really start coming back into the game. The Force can't quite keep up that intensity. The guys are starting to look a bit tired, and the Brumbies look to have scored a try through Alatoa, but that one gets chalked off for being lost. And then Muirhead looks to have scored in the corner from like the very next set of plays, but they said there was obstruction. The TMO was very busy. Interestingly, this game had a female ref, which I think was the first time. I've seen plenty of touch judges, but I've never seen a woman ref the game. And yeah, I didn't really have anything to say about the job she did. She ref the game, all good. And the TMO, if anything, was probably the one that was really busy. You're like, oh, settle down. Have a beer. You're pinging every little thing. But anyway, eventually though, third time lucky, the Brumbies managed to get a try through Tom Wright, and it was on the left wing. It was from a Force's kind of poor kick. They weren't kicking for touch that much, the Force. They were kind of happy to kick it back to the Brumbies guys and let the Brumbies run it back, which was maybe a bit dicing with trouble, but it was a poor kick. It was a bomb, and then nothing really came of it. And Miller had a 2-on-1. He just gives the ball to Wright. He goes over in the corner. They missed the conversion, so it's 7 points to 5. And before halftime, Tom Banks, who I think has probably had his best game since the AU competition started, because he would have been my first choice Wallabies fullback before Super Rugby AU. I don't know that he's quite hit full form, but he seemed to be pretty sharp for this game. The Brumbies got a maul. It's like 6 meters out, and you're thinking that's their bread and butter. That's how they're going to score a try. But the Force, apart from right towards the end of this game, were able to essentially nullify that Brumbies maul for the most part. And they did spin it to the backs, and Banks put his foot down and managed to get through a gap to score a try. They missed the conversion, so it's 10 points to 7. That's how it goes in at halftime. Only 3 points in it. But when you look at the halftime stats, like possession and territory is almost evened up over the course of the game because it was all Force to start with, but it's 54-46 possession, 58-42 territory in favour of the Force, so they still edge it. Run meters, though, 354 to the Brumbies, 95 to the Force. This is what I mean about the Brumbies not wanting to kick it that much. They did start, but defenders beaten 16-1 at half-time. 16-1. Clean breaks 5-0. This is in favour of the Brumbies. Offloads 6-0. Tackling percentage, Brumbies 98%. They only missed one tackle in that first half, and that was Joe Powell when he got flattened. The Force were at 75%, which is a bit disappointing. But it does get better for them in the second half. Second half, the Force do, again, come out of the blocks early. They put a bunch of pressure on. Eventually, they kind of get the Brumbies warned for, too many infringements, yellow cards. And you're thinking, right, here's when the Force need to convert, but they come away with no points. And after about 10 minutes, the Brumbies start to get some momentum back. Miller gets a try on 50 minutes. They had to go about 5 phases. He's on the left wing. It was a weird one as well because in the phase before Miller's try, Kahui goes in for a tackle. He has a head clash with Tom Banks. He falls to the ground and essentially is crawling around on the ground like he doesn't know where he is. So that leaves a gap out there on the blind side because that's the position that Kahui would have been filling. But also, I don't think he goes off for an HIA, which seems incredible in this day and age where sometimes guys who haven't even quite bumped their heads, the doctors think, did he bump his head? I'm just going to check him anyway. They do a precautionary HIA. I don't think Kahui went off for an HIA. He seemed groggy when he was on the ground to me. He couldn't walk. He was crawling. I don't know. I'll leave that one to the medical professionals. It just seemed a bit unusual, but yeah, the Force got the try in the corner and Kunzel put over a great conversion. 17 points to 7. And at that point I was thinking, right, this is probably going to go according to the script. The Force guys are going to get tired. The Brumbies are going to put the hammer down and maybe run away with this game. But no, Jono Lance gets a try for the Force next to bring it back in within touching distance. They'd had a penalty. Again, they didn't take the 3. They did a quick tap, and after a few phases, they managed to get the try. Lance goes through a bit of a gap between Simone and Solomon Kata. Kata's basically just sticks out a hand and goes, oh, well, you're going through. So he lets him through. And, yeah, it's 17 points to 12. That's game on. But that's the final points for the Force. The next 2 tries are both for the Brumbies. Ikitau gets one on 64 minutes. They go 9+ phases. And then Muirhead gets one 6 minutes before full time. And they did go to the TMO to check that one, but he got to it first. It was Ira Simone who put the kick through. And I do think Simone's having a career season. He's just doing everything really well, apart from that little grubber kick 22 restart thing. He's a bit of an all-round package in the AU season. They almost had another try through Faenga from like a 5-meter maul, but it was chalked off due to the TMO came into it again, and there was like a transfer with a guy who wasn't connected to the maul or something like that, a technical penalty. And Force tried to run it back, but essentially it's game over. So it is a bonus point win for the Brumbies. That means they get a home final. So as I said, congratulations to them. They have been the best team. They've not dominated every game, but they've done what they needed to do. And yeah, same is true here. Run meters 505 to what looks like I've written 194. So they dominated the run meters, position territory. The Force edged both, but not by a lot. Still in the 50s, 53%, 55%. Tackling percentage for the Brumbies remained pretty phenomenal, 96%. That's a hell of an effort. 128 tackles. The Force upped their game in the second half, 84%, 107 tackles. That's good. That's encouraging because the Force's defense, like last week, kind of just waved the white flag a bit. But this was really encouraging that this week they actually showed some fight and pride in the jersey and whatnot. So that was good. 84% is really respectable. 96% is phenomenal, but still 84% in most circumstances is a really good performance. Yeah, penalties conceded 12-14, so the penalty count was relatively high, but not out of the ordinary from what we've seen in the AU and Aotearoa competitions. Individuals, Banks had 115 run meters, 5 defenders beaten, and 2 clean breaks. He was all over the place, man. He was everywhere. He was in the kicking duels as well. There was Kunzel, there was Lance, and Banks. They were doing a bit of force back at times when they were actually deciding to kick it. Lee Warner for the Force, 15 out of 15 tackles. How he is not in that national player of interest, the pony thing, player of national interest, I have no idea. I've only been introduced to him since the Force took part in this competition. He seems bloody good, man. Tackles like a machine. He's got a really good work rate. It's what you want. And he's versatile enough to play loose forward or lock. I don't know what's not to like. But anyway, I'm going to go to bed. Good game. 10 past 11 here in New Zealand, so time for bed. But, yeah, really entertaining game. The Force did enough to keep this one close, which is what you want. It wasn't a hiding. And, yeah, they were in the lead at times as well. So, yeah, good game. You guys let me know your thoughts on it. And drop the video a like if you please. Don't have to, but it'd be nice. Talk to you guys again soon. See you later.